Hi, Rose is having a good day right now, so I apologize for the orb in the background, so I apologize for that. So basically I want to make a video right now, so very nice ramble. So this is a pretty interesting ramble. I do apologize for the orb in the background, I really apologize for that because I know it's very loud. So I want to do a video right now on perfect versus reasonable. So let me elaborate. So perfect versus reasonable. So I'm going to give you a very good example over and off. So basically, I want to discuss things that are perfect versus reasonable. So, not tobacco related, really. So, basically, what does perfect mean? So, perfect means absolutely 100% perfect. So, on the dot, extremely accurate, like super, super perfect, that kind of stuff. So, that's what perfect means. Reasonable means, like, okay, I can understand that's reasonable. You get the point. I hate to use the word, but it's like, reasonable's like, okay. So that's reasonable that you will try to cut down on smoking. Perfect is like, okay, I won't smoke, I won't drink at all, I won't do anything else, I will just be a perfect, total healthy person. So I'm going to use weight as an example. So I use health as an example in general. So in our health related video. So basically I want to talk about like health in general is perfect and reasonable. So basically like weight issue. So I am not morbidly obese by any means. I'm probably 40, 50 pounds overweight, maybe 50 pounds overweight or so. And as I get closer to 30 years old, I am starting to develop a little bit of high blood pressure, so I have to watch that because I don't want to have like a heart attack or by any means like a stroke. So I really want to watch my weight and start to eat healthier and lose a little bit of weight. So, but I don't want to be like perfect. So perfect with weight would be like being buffed out, having six-pack abs, running marathons, being in perfect shape, lifting weights. And again, I'm not into freaking gym fetish material, so I'm not interested in talking about how big my you-know-what is, big ass cigar for life. It's like, that doesn't really interest me, but I'm not into that kind of perverted crap, I'm not gay for the last time, so, I mean, people can believe what they want to believe. I'm not interested in having like a perfect body, being buffed out, having six-pack abs. I'm not interested in talking about how big my you-know-what is. I don't care. So it's like, you get the point. So the point I'm trying to make is, after a couple minutes rambling, is that would be perfect. Health-wise with weight issue would be perfect. So, being, a little bit lighter than I am now, probably being around like 200 pounds. So I would say if I could get down to 200 pounds or so, I would be so much happy. My doctor would be so much happier. So my doctor's like, oh yeah, 200 pounds, you feel a hell of a lot better than you do now, and you would be a lot healthier. Also, ideally, it would be like 170 or so. So I'm about 230 right now, so definitely not morbidly obese by any means. Not eating, 10 McDonald's cheeseburgers a day, not eating, 15, buckets of KFC chicken, not drinking, entire 12-pack of soda. But I'm not skinny. So I'm not skinny, like, look at me. I'm decently overweight. So I've never been skinny in my life. Ever since I was about 7 years old, I gained a bunch of weight on my medication. So I was on a medication when I was probably around like 7 years old. I didn't really choose to be morbidly obese or be overweight in general, not morbidly obese, but I'm not morbidly obese. I really never chose to say like, okay, I'm going to go out and, eat 15 triple McDonald's cheeseburgers and see how big I can get, It was more medication related when I was a kid, so more related to my mental health issues. It was more medication related. It was also, sorry, my hand's a little bit dry from the cold. Kind of like, more like that. So, but perfect for me at almost 26 years old would be about 170 or so. More realistically or reasonable, reasonable or realistically means about 200 or so. Also, smoking in general, obviously, ideally, perfectly, it would be great to quit smoking altogether. So, and never smoke another day in your life. So, but you know what? Even at like 30, 40 years old, 50 years old, I can already at least have like a cigar occasionally. I'm aware, a lot of the hate from smoking comes from like, people starting a fire accidentally, also secondhand smoke, so that's why I smoke outside and I'm careful when I smoke. So, it's like, I don't smoke around other people. But it's kind of like, I'm not going to never have a cigar again in my life. It's like, I'm cutting way, 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 way back on smoking. I'm cutting back to probably around like 2 times a day at the most. And like, even then I might want to cut more like to like 1 time a day or a couple times a week. So it's like, obviously a doctor's going to tell you, ideally, Evan, you should never be smoking again. But it's like, what I was going to say was, keep in mind also the doctor's heavily influenced by a lot of anti-tobacco zealots, from people who are furious when somebody threw a cigarette onto the ground and burned down the entire apartment, which I would never do in a million years. I'm always very careful. That's why I use an ashtray with water, so I never throw my cigar butts all over the place, I don't even smoke cigarettes. So, and obviously keep in mind, like, a lot of this, detailed information is really directed at people who smoke a pack and a half, 2 packs a day. So, I don't even smoke cigarettes. I haven't smoked a cigarette for over 3 years. So, and keep in mind when they say tobacco, 99% of the time they're talking about cigarettes. So, what I was going to say was, smoking would be ideally great if I cut it out altogether, but I will say this, ideally cutting out altogether would be great, but more reasonably, cutting it down to like a few times a week, or maybe even like once or twice a day. So, it's like, I'm not going to be a perfectionist, that's not a word for it, perfectionist. It's like, I'm not going to be somebody who's ripped, who's muscly, who's, six-pack, who's into gym fetish material, who's talking about how big my you-know-what is. It's, I'm not going to talk about how I pump iron, how I talk about, whatever. It's kind of like I've known people like that over the years, I've known people who are real perfectionists. I've known people, who are like that, who really care about that. And, some people might matter to them, but, some people might be like, okay, I really want to, be like 150, 160. I want to be in perfect shape. I want to be, in perfect shape. I want to have a perfect body. And, some people get so particular about it. It's like, same thing with smoking, same thing with, having an alcoholic drink occasionally as long as you're over 21. So, it's kind of like, some people get so... Sorry, my lips are a little bit chapped. I was working outside today. My lips are a little bit chapped in the cold. It's really cold outside here in Massachusetts. It's like some people are so particular about it. It's like, some people are like, anybody who doesn't choose to be in perfect shape, have six-pack abs, that kind of stuff. It's kind of like, they can't be a good person. That's really not true. It's like, I enjoy being chubby, so I enjoy being chubby. I really enjoy having a little bit extra belly fat. So I'm perfectly happy being a little bit extra belly, having a little bit extra belly fat. So it doesn't bother me at all. So, and yeah, I don't want to be like, 400 pounds someday, but you get the point. The point I make after almost 8 minutes of rambling is there's a big difference between being perfectionist, perfect, ideally, and being more reasonable and realistic. So, it's like, at a certain point, it's like, do you want to be 450 pounds and be smoking 3 packs a day and probably have a heart attack by the time you're 30 years old? Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely not. So, it's like, but you know what? If you want to have, like, a little bit of extra belly fat, you want to, have an occasional cigar a couple times a week, as long as you're over 18, over 21. You want to occasionally have, like, an alcoholic beverage a day. So, it's perfectly fine. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, as long as you're of legal age to do whatever, like I am, like I'm 25 and a half myself, I'm almost 26, as long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're not, being careless with your smoking, as long as you're not, as long as you have appropriate health insurance, if something bad happened, I think it's perfectly okay. So anyway, Big Ass Cigar for Life, bye. Give me your thoughts. Anyway, Big Ass Cigar for Life, bye.